You're out of shape and alone, anxious and insecure, not because you're broken, but because you're too scared to let go of who you used to be. Everyone wants growth. They think it's about adding more habits, more knowledge, more goals. But what it really takes is sacrifice, letting go of who you think you are, starving the patterns that keeps him alive, so the real you can finally breathe. Most people live life protecting who they think they are. They're driven by fear and insecurity. That's why they chase status and validation. But their identity becomes a prison. You want connection, but you think you're introverted, shy, and awkward, so you hide. But what you really fear is being seen, being judged. It's the belief in who you think you are that gets in your way. You want freedom, but you overthink and chase perfection, so you sabotage progress. But what you really fear is failure, because if you fail, it'll crack the image of who you think you're supposed to be. You want respect, but you think you're falling behind, so you focus on looking good. But what you really fear is not being enough, because if no one else sees your value, you start to question if it's even there. The person you think you are, the fears, insecurities, and even desires, isn't you. It's an image you built. It's your ego. And the more you try to live up to it, the more it holds you back. You built this false image, the version of you that chased validation, that avoided judgment, that lived to be liked. You could tear him apart, but then you'll be faced with emptiness. Your anxiety will spike, and then you run back to who you think you are. Instead, you have to starve him, slowly, until he's gone. Start with your imagination. Do you picture success, getting revenge, proving them wrong? You're just feeding the ego. Stop fantasizing and watch your ego collapse. Before you speak, ask why. Are you speaking to impress, to be liked, to protect your image? That's your ego talking. Stay quiet and eventually your ego will too. Question what you do, what you wear, what you consume, what you post. When the ego wants to act, you don't. Let it twitch, but don't follow. Ego death isn't instant. It's a slow unraveling of who you think you are. You'll stop chasing, stop avoiding, stop trying to impress. People will leave. They'll say you've changed, but you haven't. You've just moved closer to who you actually are. Before, you were emotional and reactive. Desire and insecurity moved you. Now you're calm and unshakable. You still move, but with intention, not impulse. And you'll end up getting everything the ego craved without ever chasing. You don't train to look good. You train to stay sharp, to keep your mind clear and your body ready. You eat to fuel the body, train to clear the mind, and you end up looking good anyway. You don't work for outcomes. You work because you can, for legacy and mastery. You show up without needing praise, and the results come anyway. You don't need to be liked, so you speak honestly to stay true to yourself and to everyone else. You hold on to no one, and the right people stay anyway. The ego was scared and hungry. It got in its own way. The real you isn't fearful or greedy. You just act without needing results, and you'll get the results anyway. Most people keep chasing to validate who they think they are. They never slow down, not until it's too late, until they're old, unable to move, and forced to reflect on the life they didn't question. But you can be different. You can let go of your ego before it's too late. Then let your real self breathe. Move without noise, act without needing reward. That's growth, and it begins by letting your old self end.